back into the pits to tag their teammate, who then sets off on his kart to complete the next 20 laps and therefore carrying on to the third driver. Well, yesterday we had a few incidents and a few problems, mechanical problems as well, which meant that sometimes they were coming in a bit early, and we saw a bit of chaos once or twice as some of the following drivers weren't quite ready to get going for their part. So that caused a few delays, and that really was the problem for Ayrton Senna's team. When Jean-Marc Gounon broke down on his number 2 kart, he pushed it back in, but Ayrton Senna wasn't ready to go. But eventually he got going and completed more laps, I think, than anybody else in the final, completing around about 24 laps. Well, that was probably just as well, as Senna hadn't competed or hadn't practiced much here, only turning up yesterday afternoon. So the 24 laps that he completed in the relay race final yesterday have done him a lot of good. He was right on the pace as well, so we look forward to some good battles between him and the other drivers. There's very little difference between them, with times almost identical. As we now look at the Elf race, lining up with Pompidou on pole, Sarrazin, Philippe. You can have a look there at the lineup of the grid. Some familiar names, some less familiar from the Elf ladder of motor racing. And we will see who manages to qualify through to the relay race to join the Grand Prix stars. Now, these karts are all 100cc, 2-stroke machines. So a single cylinder, 2-stroke engine revving up to about 16 or 18,000 revs per minute when they're getting up to speed. But these karts, unlike some of the ones that are raced in Europe and in the UK, are not direct drive. They're not with gearboxes, but they also have a centrifugal clutch, which means that they can do a standing start. So you'll see them go round behind this pace car initially. You can see Pompidou there very vigorously trying to get some heat into his tyres. That's why he's swerving it around very violently from side to side. There he goes, look at him, he's got the camera on his kart as well, so we should get some good pictures with a bit of luck from him. And they have a centrifugal clutch which allows them to do a standing start, so they'll come back onto the grid and then set off for their 12-lap race. Well, the centrifugal clutch, slightly unusual in this form of karting for 100cc 2-strokes, but it is a class which is now used in the Junior World Championships. So these are effectively the same sorts of karts as used in the Junior World Series. And at the start of the race, and Pompidou gets left behind. Well, perhaps he wasn't quite expecting that with these clutches, and maybe that lost him some time. And Pompidou there beaten away from pole position by Sébastien Philippe. So Sébastien Philippe now leading the race on the number 33 kart. In second place, the number 32 or Stéphane Sarrazin, and Pompidou is down into third place. So he really didn't get a very good start at all, very tardy start. And perhaps there's a little bit of technique required with these centrifugal clutches to get them away. The clutch engages from about 6,000 RPM, and well, perhaps some of the other drivers just using the brake to hold it on the line, and Pompidou was beaten away. There's number 35 from behind the camera car. That's Sébastien Guérin, man who raced karts from being 14-year-old. He's been racing karts ever since, and then took to single-seater racing this year in the Renault Elf Campus Series. But there's the lineup. In fact, Lagos is coming to third, not Pompidou. So Pompidou displaced to fourth place, and it's Lagos in third position, ahead of Xavier Pompidou. There's Lagos, there's Pompidou, the number 31 with that antenna sticking out of the back of his kart. That's for the onboard TV camera pictures as we have a quick look in slow motion. There is Lagos, there is Pompidou, and then following him is Sébastien Guérin. They come through the tunnel onto the concrete section and then back onto the tarmac. This tarmac was laid on Thursday. There's 4,000 square meters of tarmac's been laid here, and you can see a big bump as they come back, and this is in the stadium section now, so they're in front of the assembled masses as they come through the hairpin sections. And Xavier Pompidou was having a little look there at trying to get past Frank Lagos. Pompidou with the white crash helmet and the camera, and Lagos here with the blue and white and silver crash helmet, the number 22 kart. Lagos just holding on to third place as they go back through the tunnel section. They're now in the corridors of the Bercy Stadium, onto the concrete, through the hairpin. They come through a little right-hander and then head back into the stadium again. Very bumpy through here. And then back into the stadium through the first of the hairpins, right-hand hairpin. They then come into a left-hand hairpin, accelerate out of this into a very quick double apex left-hander, which is almost flat out, but not quite. And then back through and into the tunnel again, out through the corridor. So that's a lap taken in just under 30 seconds. That's all it takes them to get round here. And these karts getting up to speeds of around 65, nearly 70 miles an hour in places on this track. So Lagos there, Pompidou being chased by Guérin, and then the rest of the field streaming through. But out front at the moment it's still Sébastien Philippe who leads this race on the number 33. Well, he's having fairly comfortable in front, so we're concentrating our cameras on this battle for second and third. In fact, the second place man also there now, number 32, Stéphane Sarrazin, who another man who's very experienced on karts. Of course, these guys in a way have much more recent experience of kart racing, well they do, than the Grand Prix drivers. These young French drivers, most of them have only been out of karts for a year or 2 years perhaps. Lagos has been out of karts a little bit longer than that, with a successful career in cars already, having won the last 2 rounds of the Formula 3000 Championship. This year in France, the 2 wins at Manicourt and Nogaro. The man on the number 22 kart is looking good for another year in 3000 next year, and perhaps we'll see him in Grand Prix racing soon after that. But he's in third place at the moment, behind Stéphane Sarrazin. Xavier Pompidou still very close in behind. Pompidou was quickest on Friday in one of the timed sessions. He actually went out on the number 1 machine of Alain Prost when Prost couldn't take the time out to test. So Pompidou doing some of the testing for him, and he was very quick on that occasion. But you can see it's difficult to overtake here. It is possible. We've seen that some of the kartists, the guys who've been racing all year on karts, the young guys, they've shown us that it is possible to overtake. We've seen some brilliant overtaking manoeuvres from some of them, and so it is possible, but it's not easy. And these guys are all very experienced. They try their hardest not to make a mistake. But look at Lagos putting the pressure on Sarrazin. This is surely the chance for a place change here. This is the battle for second place. Lagos there on the number 22 kart. 10 laps to go to the end. I said it was 12. I think it was more like 20 laps. In fact, it's a Filière race, so sorry about that, but 20-lap race now, down to 10 laps to go, and Lagos still with the opportunity of getting that second place. He's still got plenty of time to put Sarrazin under pressure. Under the tunnel they go there. You get a good shot of them disappearing from the stadium and out onto the concrete section. Takes them out into the corridors. Bouillon in 5th place now, another man from Formula 3000 this year. Bouillon has been racing in the European Formula 3000 Championship in his first year. Had a couple of second places at the end of the season in the French races, and he's looking forward to doing Formula 3000 again next year. Only 22 years old, former kartist. He was 9th in the World Championships in 1986. So an experienced man. But let's watch this battle between Lagos and Sarrazin. As we look back, there is the number 21 machine, in fact, of Bouillon. And he's under a fair bit of pressure himself. But Philippe is still the leader. Sébastien Philippe doing a great job. He was the winner of the Junior World Cup in karting a couple of years ago. And, well, he's putting all that into good effect here, that experience. Xavier Pompidou there, still under some pressure from number 35, Sébastien Guérin. Not getting many pictures, unfortunately, from Pompidou's camera. It's a shame. We're getting some good action shots, but the bumps sometimes disrupting the pictures. You can see how bumpy it is on this circuit. These karts, of course, have no suspension. They're solid axles, solid rear axle, and only the rear brake operating. You just have one brake on these type of karts, operating on a solid rear axle. That's why you see the karts twitch into the corners as the driver brakes. The back end of the kart twitches into oversteer. The driver's controlling that, and then full acceleration out of the corners. No gears to worry about. So the left foot is simply in control of the brake, just the 2 pedals, accelerator and brake. And it's a balancing act between the steering, the throttle and the brake all the time. Look at Lagos. You can see them jumping up and down in the seat. Well, that's to try and get the karts to pick up momentum out of the slow corners. If they can just leap out of the seats a little bit, it helps the kart accelerate. And it's a natural thing on the karts. You see the young kartists do this all the time. And Lagos, in his efforts to try and get up a place he really wants. Look, they've actually caught up a little bit to Sébastien Philippe in the number 33 kart, who's leading. Well, the gap has reduced somewhat with Stéphane Sarrazin in second place still. Frank Lagos in third. There's the gap, 1.3 seconds, and very visibly has reduced. But I think at the moment, Sébastien Philippe has this race under control. Sarrazin, yellow flags there. Maybe somebody's off on the exit. We can't see anybody off, but somebody must have had a spin on the exit of that corner. But we can't pick it up on the cameras, disappearing behind the tyres. Ayrton Senna was, amongst others, to have spins in yesterday's events. In fact, he ended up bending his axle in one of the spins he had, just collecting one of the tyre bales that aligned the side of the track. But Sébastien Philippe looking good at the moment. He's not getting too close to the tyres. He's certainly using as much road as he can in his attempts here to stay in front of Stéphane Sarrazin. These guys will be going through. The top 8 from this race will in fact go through to join the Grand Prix drivers in the relay race, the main race of the day. So although the battle continues, it really isn't too important at this stage, because the main thing is that they qualify through to the main event. But look at this, Lagos is putting Sarrazin under pressure. Sarrazin actually waves him through, so Sarrazin in trouble perhaps. Oh, and that's a shame, because they're right towards the end of the race now. Number 21, that's Jules Bouillon coming up as well. Can Sarrazin hold on, because he just wants to get through to the qualifying? That's all that really matters, as going through there. Bouillon takes that position. Frank Lagos now up a position. But can Sarrazin hold on? They're on their last lap now. He needs to finish in the top 8. Let's hope he can hold that position. It'd be very sad if he loses out. He's got Xavier Pompidou just behind him now. And can Stéphane Sarrazin hold on? He keeps it wide there. Is he going to let them through? I would think he'd do his best to defend. Here's our leader then, Sébastien Philippe, coming round on his last lap. He's got the final hairpin and the long, quick left-hander to go, and he'll be coming round to the checkered flag. And Sébastien Philippe, the winner of the El Filière race, second place to Frank Lagos in the end. And I think that hopefully Sarrazin will have come through. Jules Bouillon coming up well to finish in third place at the end there. Xavier Pompidou coming up, and I hope that Sarrazin has managed to qualify. We'll check up on the results. But the winner definitely Sébastien Philippe, after a great dominant performance. This man who raced in the Junior World Cup, won the Junior World Cup just a couple of years ago, and well, he was in great form here. Let's watch some of the action from that race. Well, with action here from Bercy from that last race, we're now going to have a short commercial break. Make sure you rejoin us in just a moment. Let's watch this next time and see if it's an improvement. On board now as well. Great shots of the circuit as they go through into that tunnel section as well. Paul Belmondo there, the man who raced for the March Ilmore team in Formula 1 in 1992, doing 5 races for them. And Belmondo's been going well. He's done 3 years of karting before he actually started off his motor racing career in single-seaters. So he's putting in some great performances here, and has been one of the quickest guys out on the karts. He looks as though he's coming back into the pits. Perhaps a problem, or perhaps the opportunity taken to tune the chassis, tune the kart a little bit. They have the ability to change the karts a little bit. You can see him coming into the pits there on the onboard camera. In fact, they can change the grid as much as possible. Well, Hellery is still hoping to get into Grand Prix racing. Hasn't made it yet. He's been racing the Peugeot sports car this year, won Le Mans. He also, for the second year running, won the Peugeot Spider Cup Championship in France. It's a sports car championship, equivalent sort of level to Formula 3. The pressure there, that's Belmondo on the number 14. Paul Belmondo with the onboard camera. And just behind him, Eric Hellery now, in fact, just behind him, because Collard lets him through. So Oh, and a spin. So something going on. Belmondo having a bit of a moment there and managing to rejoin quite safely. And in fact, here we go. Let's have a look from on board with Paul Belmondo. You can see him sliding the car into the first of the hairpins in the stadium. Braking with the left foot, remember. Accelerating. We can't see the accelerator pedal from our angle here, but let's watch him through the quick left-hander. Now he has a quick right underneath the bridge through into the tunnel. And now through a fairly quick left-hander, they then accelerate up towards a tight hairpin. This is the bumpy hairpin up at the end of the corridor. Oh, and he loses it again, spins out. He can't quite get his braking right into that end hairpin. Maybe he's experimenting with a later braking point. Whatever the reason, he's certainly not getting it quite right. It's a shame we didn't get the onboard pictures, but they lose the onboard camera as it goes under the tunnel there. So we can't quite see that from onboard, but there he is coming back into the pits. Perhaps he wants a bit of attention made to the braking, because at the moment it seems to be suffering a little bit. There's Philippe Streff just next to him, as we see Jean-Marc Gounod and Olivier Grouillard, two French drivers, but been racing in the IndyCar series in 1993. Well, the times, Emmanuel Collard is fastest at the moment. Ayrton Senna having a look up at the screens, which are in the ceiling here, and it's Emmanuel Collard then fastest on a 29.006. Eric Hellery second fastest on 29.388. And Collard's time, really, that's the quickest time we've seen this weekend. A fabulous time, 29.006. Olivier Grouillard third fastest on 29.542. Jean-Marc Gounod then on 29.674. Yannick Dalmas on 30.033. Then Eric van der Poel on 30.509. And Paul Belmondo on 31.686. So the seventh fastest time for Paul Belmondo. And he had a few problems, as we could see, with his brakes and perhaps... Welcome back to Bercy, where we're now getting ready for the second of the Formula 1 Grand Prix drivers qualifying sessions, and this is the one which sees Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna competing in this qualifying session. Also Johnny Herbert there, Andrea de Cesaris. So a great lineup for this second qualifying session, and with Emmanuel Collard fastest in the first session, can anybody get anywhere near his time? Certainly the performance yesterday of Emmanuel Collard showed that he was one of the fastest of the day, and perhaps he is going to be able to continue that sort of form all the way through the day. Well, there is Alain Prost, the local favourite here in Paris, and everybody here to see him, and he's been going very well over the course of the weekend. Yesterday's relay race final, he ended up doing 18 laps. Quite a lot. They had a few problems with his team, and so he had to go out a little bit earlier than scheduled. And his fastest lap in that race yesterday was a 29.648 for Alain Prost. And Senna not out yet. They're changing the plug, so perhaps the engine not firing up when they tried to get it going. So Senna losing a little bit of time there in the pits. But Prost, very, very consistent from first time he got in the car on Friday, and you can see, just watch his style. It's very interesting to watch the driving technique of all these guys as they go around the circuit. Prost very smooth, letting the kart do the work, always trying to give it as little steering input as possible, controlling it very much on the brake and the throttle, and trying to give it as little steering as possible, particularly on the exit of corners. A little bit of slide into corners as he brakes as late as possible, then acceleration out of the corners without too much correction, without too much oversteer, the quickest way on the kart. And his final 10 laps yesterday were all in the 29s, whereas some of the quick drivers were in the 29s, then doing a 30, then doing another 29, a couple of 29s, and then another 30 perhaps. Well, Prost was constantly, in those last 10 laps, was in the 29s. A very consistent performance, as we've come to expect. That was, I think, Pierluigi Martini there, just pulling off to the side. And perhaps he was losing some time. And losing out in terms of the performance of his kart. So we'll have to see how he gets on in just a moment. So Alain Prost, let's see if he can improve his time, a 30.533. Well, he's going quick already. There's Olivier Panis just behind him. The problems they had with this. They have now cured, and it looks as though Senna has now got the chance to get out and do some times as well. (29.853) now, the fastest from Olivier Panis. And Senna 30.6, so getting down towards the times, but not quite there yet. Olivier Panis, there he is, the number 7 kart. He is the man who won the Formula 3000 Championship this year. There he is going past Alain Prost and just managing to overtake. I think Prost actually led him a little bit there. But 29.853, 29.997, Olivier Panis. Certainly very much the man on the pace at the moment. Let's see whether he can continue this sort of pace. Alain Prost trying to chase after him. Perhaps he can use Olivier Panis in front of him as a bit of a carrot to try and go for a faster time. But we saw this yesterday as well, Prost putting in a very quick time towards the end. Look at Panis controlling it, flicking it in on the brakes, but trying to keep it as smooth as possible on the exit of corners. You can see the karts go up on 2 wheels sometimes. They produce a lot of grip from the slick Dunlop tyres. At 29.837, a very quick time once again for Olivier Panis. Ayrton Senna then on the number 2 kart, and now he has the fastest lap of 29.654 for Ayrton Senna, and Senna really has got it together now. He's had less experience on this track than some of the others because he didn't turn up until a bit later, but they had sent him out a kart to Brazil for him to practice on his own circuit in Brazil, and well, he's using all that practice time that he's had, and now Ayrton Senna really starts to set the place alight with some very quick times indeed. At 29.654, the quickest he's done so far, and he goes faster again at 29.497, getting down towards the time of Emmanuel Collard from that first session. 29.04, Emmanuel Collard. Can Senna try and beat that time? A very impressive time indeed. Well, Senna had yesterday actually had a bent axle after a little incident in the race yesterday. They had problems with his team. He ended up doing a few slowish laps, and then he went off and bent the axle. He then went back out, or continued, and did times in the 29s even with that bent axle. Well, today of course they've changed the axle. He's got a kart that is performing as it should do, and he now is putting in some quick times. He's chasing after Philippe Alliot, and the clock once again running on Senna's kart. Alain Prost, let's see whether he can try and improve on his time as well. So Alain Prost, the clock running on the French world champion, who was a former French and a European champion on karts. He started his career on karts when he was 15 years old. So he had plenty of experience, and he's now trying to beat that time of Senna. 29.497, 29.611. He's just a tenth of a second slower than Senna. And this sensations, they were telling us, are similar. And the kart control, he's a bit wide there, a little bit wide of the apex perhaps on that first hairpin. That could have cost him a couple of hundredths of a second, and Herbert's gone quickest now with a 29.259, 29.6545 for Prost. So Johnny Herbert now the fastest man on the track, and the man who won yesterday. His team was the winning team in the relay race yesterday. Is looking in great form again, Johnny Herbert on the number 5 kart. So Alain Prost, the time running again for him. And let's see whether he can go a bit quicker this time. 29.557, still a little bit outside that time of Johnny Herbert. 29. Former British champion, raced karts for around about 10 years in all. And always very, very quick on karts before he switched over to car racing. So a little bit slower that lap. but still very much on the pace in the 29s. He moved on to Formula Ford, won the Formula Ford Festival back in 1985, won the British Formula 3 Championship in 1987, and his karting experience really coming in. So it's oh dear, and he clips the inside, oh dear, just as I was saying how well he was going. Johnny Herbert clips the apex on that very quick right-hander as they come back into the stadium. He just clipped the tyres on the inside. You could see it with his right rear. And that's going to have done a bit of damage. I wonder, I would think as well, a steering arm as well. Alain Prost's gone second fastest in the meantime. He's done a 29.298. There is the accident, as you could see Johnny just clipping the inside apex. But this man now has gone second fastest then. And Johnny Herbert still with the fastest time, 29.259. And there he is, receiving the applause of the crowd after a spectacular accident into the barriers. But he's not too perturbed about that. And so Johnny, well, I don't know if that puts him out of action. We'll have to wait and see. I hope they've got another kart. I'm sure they have. They have lots of spare karts there, but whether they will have one ready for him to use straight away, I'm not too sure. We shall wait and see with interest. Ayrton Senna then third fastest on a 29.370, and explaining to the mechanics, and there you get the whole lineup of the times. De Cesaris there in fourth place, and he put it in a quick time right towards the end there. You can see a number of laps completed, and he put in a quick time just towards the end, 29.695. Olivier Panis not as quick as we thought from the beginning, and Prost receiving the congratulations. Now you can see the body protector there, protecting from the bruising as he bounces around this circuit, and that's certainly a very important part of driving the karts on a bumpy surface. Well, welcome back to Bercy. We've had our qualifying runs now for the Grand Prix drivers, so that will determine their positions a little bit later on. So the fastest man overall in the two sessions was Emmanuel Collard, the man who's come from Formula 3000, and they're not quite so familiar perhaps, but he was the fastest. Let's have a little look now at some of the action from those qualifying runs. Year, and we're going to see the final of this event, and they're coming out of their paddock area now to come round and take their positions on the grid. So these are the guys who've been racing in kart racing all over the year around Europe and doing the World Championships as well, and these are the names that we will be seeing coming through, no doubt, into Grand Prix racing in the not too distant future. Back of the grid there, you can see just qualifying from the Recharge earlier on, Michael Simpson, the British champion, who's had all sorts of problems this weekend, and well, he's made it through to the final, which is good news, and let's hope that he can make up for what's been going on this weekend with the various difficulties that he has had. Well, these guys are all on their own karting equipment that they've been using throughout the year. So they have experience of their own machinery, of course. And these all 100cc karts, the only difference being that they are this time having to use the centrifugal clutch, rather than having a direct drive that they're a little bit more used to, perhaps. So let's have a look at some of the drivers and competitors taking part. Number 1 there is Nicolas Gianniberti, the man who's dominated things this year in both the European and the World Championships in Formula Super A, the top class of karting throughout the world. Nicolas Gianniberti, 17 years old. He was the world champion also last year in the Formula A, and he really has had a great season this year, dominating the European Championships and the World Championships. And he also won here yesterday. The first final that they had yesterday, Nicolas Gianniberti was the winner of that event. So he's looking in good form for this particular event we have here. The rest of the carts coming around, being led around by Danilo Rossi, who was the Formula Super A champion in 1992. And also number 17 there, Nikolaj Olsen from Denmark. Well, he was second in the 1992 Formula A World Championship. These guys have tremendous background, tremendous record in kart racing. So we wait for the lights to change. These guys coming round onto the grid, and this is serious racing between the top karting guys from around Europe and the world as they get away, and it looks as though Rossi gets away in front. He does. Danilo Rossi in front. There's a bit of contact a little bit further down the order, and Gianniberti manages to come up into second place. So Nicolas Gianniberti, world champion this year, up into an immediate second place. He's being pushed hard by Mikael Santaverta in third position, and the rest of the cart streaming through. Some great battles in prospect here as they come up. Santaverta applying the pressure, fourth place. Number 17 is Nikolaj Olsen. So Olsen really losing out a lot at the start there, and he's right down in fourth position. Well, Danilo Rossi will be very keen to try and win this one if he possibly can. He's had a tremendous background. Nicolas Gianniberti there losing out a little bit to Mikael Santaverta. Santaverta going up into second place. Gianniberti displaced to third. Well, that's unusual. Gianniberti is usually the man doing the overtaking, and he's displaced to third place, in fact. And Olsen there in fourth. David Terrien, the French world champion in Formula A this year, he's next up. And we can see him just in the back of the picture. He has the local crowd for him as well, so maybe he can move up through the field, but certainly going very well at the moment. Here's Danilo Rossi in front of Mikael Santaverta, Gianniberti next up, then it's Olsen, and then the rest of them filing through with David Terrien doing his best to move up the order if he possibly can. Just in front of him at the moment, he's got John Target, Australian driver. There's Target with the turquoise and yellow coloured helmet. David Terrien, the Frenchman, French world champion, just tucked in behind him. Gianniberti there in second place, catching up a little bit on third place to Santaverta. So he's trying to put the pressure on Santaverta. Meanwhile, he's got to look out for Nikolaj Olsen, just tucked in behind him as well. So he can't really afford to make any mistakes, and his attempts to move up a position, because Nikolaj Olsen will be straight back at him. Olsen was certainly a quick man, only 17 years old. Most of these guys in their late teens. And there's Terrien applying the pressure as well. David Terrien with a white crash helmet, trying to find a way past Target. And this could be set for a good battle. Terrien, a very aggressive racer. In fact, almost got into trouble in the course of the season with some of his aggressive driving tactics, although in fact he was not found to be guilty of any problems, but he certainly is a good racer. He has the ability to overtake, and let's see whether he can find a way past John Target as they come back into the stadium section. And still our leader Danilo Rossi still in front of Mikael Santaverta, and Gianniberti still in front of Olsen. There's Olsen just tucked in behind Gianniberti. Terrien now in fact in front of Target. So there as we thought, David Terrien making up ground on the number 2 cart. David Terrien moves up one place. He's now into 5th position. So Rossi leads from Santaverta in second place. Well, can David Terrien continue his progress? He's passed one. Let's see how quickly he catches up to Nikolaj Olsen. Looking behind him to see on the progress of Target, but Target there is definitely dropping away a little bit. So now Terrien with Nikolai Olsen in front. I don't think it will take him too long to close up this gap, but the problem is getting past, and we've got Olsen and Gianni Berti here in the next group. Look at that, Terrien really has caught up to them already, and he sets the fastest lap in doing so. That's given him the opportunity to set the fastest lap, and he now goes through, trying to attack Nikolai Olsen. Olsen, meanwhile, still trying to find a way past Gianni Berti. Terrien right up there now. Can he try and challenge into the hairpins, looking for a way through? 10 laps to go. Plenty of time in some ways, but it's going to be hard work trying to fight a way through here. And Terrien is going to move into car racing next year. He's not staying with karting for 1994. He will be going into single-seater racing of one form and another. He's right in behind Olsen. Gianni Berti quite wide there, and there's Olsen going down the inside. He is. Olsen goes through. Nikolai Olsen. Somebody else losing out. Oh, and there's contact between Gianni Berti and Olsen, and Terrien goes through. Terrien in trouble. Oh, what a shame. David Terrien, who was going so well, the Frenchman, and the crowd weren't like that at all. And, well, Gianni Berti, we saw him. Let's have a look here. Olsen, Gianni Berti cuts in on Olsen. Olsen is flicked over the top of Terrien's kart, and Terrien, who was really the innocent party in all that, loses out. And Terrien is the man who has to retire when he looked so strong and looked as though he was going to come up through the order. He loses out, and Gianni Berti therefore is now a little bit more comfortable in that position. Here's a good battle going on though at the front of the field, because Rossi is right under pressure from Santavirta now. Santavirta has closed right up onto Danilo Rossi, and Santavirta really is looking for a way through now. Santavirta was fastest yesterday, fastest man overall. He won the Speedy Award. Speedy, in fact, being a sponsor here at Bercy this weekend, and a suitably named sponsor. He won the award for fastest lap of the day. That includes the Grand Prix drivers. He did a time of 29.108 yesterday, which was the fastest lap overall, and he's now in second place, trying to find a way past Danilo Rossi. Now then, is he going to manage it? Santavirta on the Mike 1 kart. Now this is the kart produced by Mike Wilson, the British former 6 times winner of the World Championship, record winner of the World Karting Championship. He's here at Bercy this weekend, helping to look after some of the karts. He met up with Senna again. He beat Senna in the World Championships in the late 70s. And so a reunion there, also a reunion for Senna with Peter de Bruyn, who's also here this weekend, another former world champion in the karts. But it's this young man here, Michael Santavirta, who is trying to take the win from Danilo Rossi, applying the pressure. And Santavirta with that support from Mike Wilson, and he'll be cheering him on to see if he can get past the 19-year-old Italian who currently leads the race. Nothing in it between them, somebody else off at the side there. But the battle rages between these two for the victory. But it's Danilo Rosso, new fastest lap, and in the 28th. That's the first time we've seen somebody in the 28th this weekend. Sébastien Enjolras into the 28th, and that's a tremendous performance. So Enjolras with the new fastest lap of the weekend. Now if he manages to hold on to that fastest lap, he will win the Speedy Award for this second day. But look at this great battle, and Santavirta's right up there. He's bumping into Rossi as they come into the hairpins. This is part of kart racing. That little bit of bodywork at the front protects the front bumper, and they can afford to just touch a little bit, as long as they try not to touch the wheels, because that can flick them up in the air. So sometimes we see a little bit of contact between them. There shouldn't be any contact. It's not a contact sport by any means, but that little bit of bodywork there at the front, just protecting the kart. And there's a fairly solid, well, not too solid, but a bar that provides the bumper there at the front. They actually use that in terms of tuning the kart as well. But Santavirta is running out of time now to get past Danilo Rossi. Unless he hurries up, he's not going to find a way through. There's only 2 laps to go to the end of the race now. So he really has got his work cut out here to try and find a way past, to try and take the lead if he possibly can. Rossi protecting his line, as he's entitled to do. And Santavirta with the job of trying to find the space, trying to find the availability. Rossi keeping an eye out on what's happening behind him. Now, can Santavirta in these final stages find a way through into the last couple of hairpins? Rossi still in control from Santavirta in second place, and Rossi it is who takes the checkered flag, and Rossi wins it. So Danilo Rossi, the winner, just coming round there, the number 6 kart of Sebastian Jolras, the man who managed to set the fastest lap, which I think is probably going to stand. And a great victory then for the Italian Danilo Rossi. Let's have a look at some of the action from that final. So the final results with Danilo Rossi winning it, Santavirta third, Target still managed to hold on to third place, and Olsen in fourth. Charlotte Hellberg, the lady Swedish driver, great fifth position for her, and the rest of the field. Gianni Berti there down in 11th place, the man who won yesterday. Well, it looks like he has lost out a little bit today, and unfortunately for him, the win was not going to come today. But nevertheless, some great racing action from the young kartists who no doubt we will be seeing in the world of Formula One in the not too distant future. So there's the unlucky man, David Terrien, who was going so well, only to be taken out in this incident. And what a great shame for David Terrien, the young French world champion. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Bercy. We're getting ready now for the main event of the afternoon, which is where the Grand Prix drivers will be competing in a relay race. There are teams, 8 teams of 3 drivers, and the top Grand Prix drivers, each their own team, and they will be competing against one another to see who is going to win this Elf Masters indoor karting event. Well, we just had the final of the kartists, and we saw Danilo Rossi beat Mikael Santavirta in a great race. John Target third, Nikolai Olsen in fourth, and Charlotte Hellberg in 5th position. Well, the kartists have done their bit. It's now time for the Grand Prix stars to have their opportunity. There's Ayrton Senna and Eric Comas having a little chat before the start of this race. They're all getting ready to see what's going to happen and what the starting lineup is going to be. Karts lined up on the grid now. And let's have a look at that lineup. Well, that gives you the order of the grid for this relay race final. Cross team with Eric Ellery and Frank Lagos, good team. two young French drivers, both very quick indeed. So Prost looking good with his team. Ayrton Senna, though, also with a strong team, Jules Bouillon and Olivier Gouillard. So certainly looking good for this final race, the relay race. Well, we'll be seeing the junior team members, as it were, starting the race first of all. And then moving on to the more experienced hands, and finishing up with the Grand Prix stars will be the final drivers in each race.
Good advertising campaign, TV
Well, Alain Prost can relax for the moment, because it's going to be some little time before he has to take part, for his part in this race. Same with Ayrton Senna. They will be the last drivers for their teams, so they have the job of watching their teammates, see how they get on in the first part. There's Paul Belmondo also getting ready for the event. He's got Sarrazin in his team, who did so well in the Elf race that we saw at the beginning of the programme. And Philippe Alliot, also a member of the Belmondo team. Well, problems yesterday for Ayrton Senna with Jean-Marc Gounon on his team, and Gounon's kart actually broke down. Hopefully this time we'll have a little bit more luck. Still a lot of support for the Brazilian here in Paris.
I would like just you to tell us if you are having fun here today, and how do you like, I know this is not as big as the Maracana Stadium, but how do you like the people and the public of Paris?
Well, it is a unique experience, and I think yesterday night the French public had a lot of fun. We also had a lot of fun, and today hopefully we all go home happy, have enjoyed 2 days of show with the go-karts, with the kids, with the youngsters, and hopefully, of course, also everybody unhurt, because it's a very tight circuit. We all have to be a bit careful. But the main important thing is to make a big party for Philippe and all the public that is very enthusiastic about the event.
Thank you very much. Muito obrigado, Ayrton. Thank you.
So Ayrton Senna giving his opinion of the indoor karting event here at Bercy, and it certainly appears as though all the Grand Prix drivers are thoroughly enjoying this one-off event so far. Let's hope it becomes perhaps an annual event here in Paris, because it really is providing some great action and some great racing as well. An opportunity for people to get much, much closer to the Grand Prix stars than normal, to really see them in action. The great thing about watching kart racing is you can observe the drivers, what they're doing, and watch their driving style so much more clearly than you can when they're hemmed in the cockpit of a single-seater racing car. So the kart racing really is proving to be a fabulous spectator event as well. Well, there's Sébastien Philippe, who was also going so well a little bit earlier on, winner of that earlier race. Olivier Panis also going very well earlier on. See how they all get on in this final race. Alain Prost watching proceedings.
Vous aviez envie aujourd'hui de donner plus pour le public, de donner plus de vous-même. J'ai l'impression que c'est en bonne voie avec les résultats de tout à l'heure. Alors cette finale qui se prépare, à mon avis, vous allez vous jeter dedans plein pot.
Oui, ils ont eu un petit aperçu avec les qualifications. J'espère qu'en course, ça se passera mieux qu'hier. Aussi, le public est plus chaud encore que celui d'hier soir, donc j'espère que...
Well, Prost hoping that everyone giving plenty of support.
Quand je passais ici, je les entendais derrière moi, donc j'espère que je vais les entendre aujourd'hui sur les 20 tours et qu'ils vont m'aider à remonter encore une fois sur le podium.
Ils vont vous aider, ça c'est certain.
So Prost hoping for a good result, and certainly that's exactly what the crowd wants as well. They are cheering their man on this afternoon, and they finally have the opportunity to do that here and really give him all of their support in this event. So it is going to be Sébastien Philippe in Johnny Herbert's team that will be starting off on pole position. So Johnny Herbert looking good once again, perhaps for another win in this indoor karting event. We'll have to see whether he can achieve a second win in 2 days, in just a little while. So the grid for this final race of the indoor karting event at Bercy, the main race, the Grand Prix race, where we see the Grand Prix drivers joining two teammates over 60 laps to complete the race and to see who comes out on top. Sébastien Philippe will be starting from pole position in Johnny Herbert's team. There is Jean-Marc Gounon just checking out his kart. And getting ready to start them up, using little electric starters to fire the engines up. No need to push start them. Unfortunately, Damon Hill not here today. Damon was racing yesterday, but he injured his ribs, bruised his ribs quite badly, and really couldn't drive in any sort of comfort, and it didn't really enable him to race properly. And so Damon not here today for the Sunday event. We've also lost Eric Bernard for similar reason, and so Eric van der Poel and Eric Hellery coming in to replace those two for the event today. And well, we'll see how they manage to get on in this particular race. See whether they can uphold the honour of the Grand Prix drivers. So they're being led round on the pace lap now. They will have a standing start, as we saw before. J.W.G just flashing through the picture there as well. Pompidou driving with Chedris in the team. Number 14. And two karts going through as well. And so we get ready for the lights to change to green, and off they go then, the first corner of this Grand Relay race, the final race here at Bercy, and it's storming into the lead there for the number one car of Frank Lagos. So Frank Lagos leading from the front. It wasn't a great start for Sébastien Philippe, and Lagos, who was going so well earlier on in the ELF qualification race, dives into the lead. Xavier Pompidou is in third position at the moment for the Jesuris team. And then in fourth place, it's the number 2 kart there, and that's Jules Bouillon with the striped helmet. He's holding on to fourth place. Bouillon driving for Ayrton Senna's team. So Ayrton Senna's team there in fourth position. What about Prost's team? Well, Prost checking through the list, the number 1 team of Lagos, so that means that he's out in front and he's in good position. So the Prost team leads at the moment, courtesy of Frank Lagos. And in second place, the Johnny Herbert team is Sébastien Philippe. Oh, and there's an instant, Pompidou's off, somebody else was wide as well there. So it all changes around, but I think Lagos still managing to keep control. Xavier Pompidou, though, losing an awful lot of time, and that is the team of De Cesaris. So De Cesaris won't be very happy about that. He'll be watching from the pits and thinking, what's going on here? Just they now suddenly drop right back, and looks as though Pompidou may have problems there. You saw him waving his arm. So maybe some sort of problems for him. Sébastien Philippe chases after Frank Lagos. It's the Prost team leading ahead of the Johnny Herbert team. This is really setting things up for a great race. Senna team has dropped, well no, it's up to third place now. So Senna team up into third position and going very well at the moment. Let's see if they can continue. There it is, the Senna team, the number 2 team. Senna's number 2 holding on to third place at the moment, but Prost, courtesy of Frank Lagos, out in front. There is Jules Bouillon, the Formula 3000 driver in Senna's team, holding on to third place. Somebody else getting a bit locked up, a bit sideways behind him. Lagos coming under pressure now from Sébastien Philippe. Lagos taking a defensive line into the hairpin there to try and keep Philippe behind. There's the gap between first and third, and Philippe goes through, and Lagos makes a mistake, so Philippe goes through, and that means that Johnny Herbert's team is leading. Well, this is the position they were in yesterday. They managed to come through to the checkered flag and take the win. Can they do so again? It's a good performance this from Sébastien Philippe, the man who was winner of the Junior World Cup in karting, and the Herbert team is now in charge. Lagos for Prost team in second place. Then in third place, Senna's team, holding on well with Jules Bouillon. Then a little bit of a gap back to the other teams. These three teams really, in some ways, the most interesting, because Senna, Prost and Herbert, the quickest guys in many ways on these karts of the Grand Prix regulars. And, well, if they stay here and we get a battle between those three in the final stages of this race, that really will be some sort of action. There is Philippe still leading in the number 3 kart from Frank Lagos, who made that little mistake. It only took the slightest mistake for him to lose that lead and to drop down to second place. There he is, still chasing after Sébastien Philippe. Trying to close up to them is Jules Bouillon on the number 2 karts. He definitely is closing up a little bit. So we have the Herbert team, the Prost team and the Senna team absolutely together now. As they continue round, they'll be completing well, a few laps, getting on for 20 laps before they make the first changes over. There's Philippe then leading for the Herbert team. Can Herbert keep up the 100% record, having won here last night? Well, this would be some sort of performance indeed. And it certainly looks as though Johnny's found himself a good team member here in Sébastien Philippe. The other man to go for them is Emmanuel Collard, and Collard was the fastest qualifier that we've seen today. So things are looking good for Johnny Herbert's team at the moment, but there's a long way to go. Alain Prost team in second place with Frank Lagos, the winner of the last 2 rounds of the Formula 3000 Championship. And then Jules Bouillon, another young Frenchman, in the third place for Ayrton Senna's team. And Senna has Olivier Gouillard as well. Oh, there's a little bit of change round perhaps, as Bouillon having a go at Formula 3000 compatriot Frank Lagos, but couldn't quite find a way through. That lost him a little bit of ground perhaps, but he's still there, still battling in third position for the Senna team. Well, this has all given a little bit of an opportunity now for Sébastien Philippe to perhaps pull away a little bit for the number 3 team, and things looking good for them at the moment. Long way to go though. We had a few mechanical failures yesterday. We had a few incidents with people crashing into bales. We saw Johnny Herbert lose it earlier on, and well, presumably they've given him a replacement kart, but who knows whether that kart's going to be quite as good or what the situation will be. So plenty to play for here. 50 laps to the end of the race, but we've got 2 changeovers. The drivers to go before that. Bouillon going down the inside into the hairpin. Well, he doesn't quite make it. He gets through, but he runs wide, skates wide, and that gives the opportunity to Lagos to retake the place again. So good attempt there from Bouillon as he tries to take second place away from Frank Lagos, but it wasn't quite to be. We saw Senna make an almost identical manoeuvre yesterday on Johnny Herbert, and he also ran wide, although Senna was able to get through. Some of the other runners being about to be caught now and being lapped already by the leader. That's Eric van der Poel. We've just seen being lapped by the leader. There he is. There's our leader, Sébastien Philippe, number 3, just ahead there. The number 7 kart is Eric van der Poel being lapped now, so can ignore him from the overall race results, and he's now got to watch out. But this could give the opportunity for, perhaps for Bouillon to get through into second place. Lagos there, you see, had to hit the brake a bit hard to avoid hitting the back of Eric van der Poel's kart. And so now Bouillon with a little check over his shoulder to see where Xavier Pompidou is, now attacking and seeing if he can get past Frank Lagos. Lagos holding him off, but he's got a bit worried about getting past Eric van der Poel, I think. And this is giving Xavier Pompidou the opportunity to catch them both up as well. So Pompidou on the number 4 kart, and that's the De Cesaris team. closing up onto the action. De Cesaris was part of Johnny Herbert's team yesterday, so that was a good successful team. And Eric van der Poel letting them through there. You can see van der Poel waving them through, but they're still getting a chance maybe because they all go a bit wide. Oh, and Bouillon's in trouble. Bouillon's in trouble. What a shame. Senna really isn't having any luck in his teammates, and the sort of luck that they're having. Yesterday, Jean-Marc Gunon went out and lost Senna's team a lot of time because of a mechanical failure, and now Jules Bouillon has similar. So what a great pity. Perhaps the other member, Olivier Gouillard, is now out. They may well have changed over and perhaps allowed Olivier Gouillard to go out already on the number 2 kart. He is the next team member for the Senna team. Philippe in control on the number 3 kart. There is the Prost team in second place with Frank Lagos at the wheel. Xavier Pompidou then in third position with the number 6 kart of Belloc. So Belloc spins out and Lagos really ran a little bit wide, and that allowed Pompidou through. So Lagos drops down, and Pompidou's team now up into second place. That's the team of De Cesaris and Jean-Marc Gunon as well. It's a good, strong team, that one. Jean-Marc Gunon very quick. He'll be out to make up for his disappointment yesterday. And Pompidou also showing his ability. Lagos for Prost has dropped back a little bit, and what a great shame. It really is all to play for, but here is the Prost team making their stop as Eric Hellery now comes out for Prost's team and rejoins the race. They're just with Eric van der Poel, same time, cold tyres. It is quite slippery, this track, on cold tyres. Noticed this in the qualifying runs. In fact, Mike Wilson telling us they were putting a little bit more pressure in the tyres to try and make sure they were getting a little bit more grip straight away as they came out on cold tyres. So there is Eric Hellery then for the Prost team, and still in second place at the moment. Now there is Jean-Marc Gunon for the De Cesaris team. He has now taken over for that team from Xavier Pompidou, and Jean-Marc Gunon, former runner-up in the World Championship of Karts. He finished second to Stefano Modena in 1984 in fact it was the European Championship. There is the leading team coming into the pits and back out. Emmanuel Collard now takes over from Sébastien Philippe. Emmanuel Collard there on the number 3 kart. Leading team of Johnny Herbert. Can they hold on to this lead? Good quick change over there. No mechanical problems for them so far. Can they hang on to this lead? But looking fairly healthy at the moment. The lead still over the De Cesaris team, which now is being looked after by Jean-Marc Gunon, thanks to that effort of Xavier Pompidou. Then the Prost team in third place, now being driven by Emmanuel Collard. Sorry, not Collard, by Eric Hellery. Eric Hellery now for the Prost team. Le Mans winner from this year with his first race on the karts this weekend, because he didn't compete in yesterday's race. So he's having to get used to the racing action. And Prost is there now ready, because if any problem should occur to Eric Hellery, mechanical problem or a crash, then Prost is ready to go. Yesterday they learnt this one fairly quickly because a few incidents happened and the next driver wasn't ready. They weren't helmeted up, Ayrton Senna amongst them, and they weren't ready to get back out, so that lost them a lot of time in yesterday's race. Well, there you can see Ayrton Senna is ready. He's learnt from that one. We haven't seen any sign of Olivier Gouillard at the moment. No pictures of him. He is the man who's driving for the Senna team. But and this is problems perhaps. Problems for, is that Emmanuel Collard? The race leader, Emmanuel Collard for the Herbert team. Oh no, this is a disaster for the Herbert team now. Is Johnny Herbert going to be able to get out of the pits? How long are they going to delay him? There obviously will be some delay. That means Jean-Marc Gunon comes into the lead now on the number 4 kart. So Jean-Marc Gunon is now our new race leader, as Emmanuel Collard is in trouble. But no, it's not Herbert to come back out. It's Sébastien Philippe, it looks like to me, who's going to be coming back out for the number 3 team. So I don't know why Johnny Herbert's not allowed out yet, but for whatever reason, maybe his kart isn't ready yet. But it looks like Sébastien Philippe getting ready, but oh dear, that's lost them really all their time. And now Jean-Marc Gunon is race leader on the number 4 machine with De Cesaris the team leader and the man who will take over from Jean-Marc Gounod after his stint. Well, Jean-Marc Gounod's completed many more laps than he did yesterday. Yesterday's event didn't go at all well. He only managed to complete about 2 laps before the kart broke down. Generally, the mechanical reliability of these karts has been very good over the weekend, but as you can see, 1 or 2 problems. There is Eric Ellery on the number 1 kart, and he's got past Eric van der Poel and gives a little wave to the crowd. Big cheer from the crowd. The Frenchman gets past the Belgian, and Eric Ellery now goes chasing after Jean-Marc Gounod. This is the battle. Now look at that. Senna's team's now up into 3rd, and Herbert's team is way down the order with those problems. So what a shame, but Eric Ellery now goes chasing after Jean-Marc Gounod. And can the Prost team get back on terms with the Cesaris team? This is a great battle in store. Ellery looking very quick indeed. He was setting some great times. So it's Jean-Marc Gounod leading from Eric Ellery at this stage of the race. Well, Ayrton Senna looks on as Eric Ellery. Now we've got somebody coming into the pits as Eric van der Poel, and he makes his changeover to Olivier Panis by the looks of things. So, or is that Didier André? A little bit tricky to tell. So he is now back out for the number 7 team, as coming up to try and go past is Sébastien Philippe on the number 3 kart, the kart that has lost all that ground, unfortunately. And that is a great shame that they lost all that ground with Emmanuel Collard's problems, and really sort of out of it now, unfortunately. And it's a great pity there for their team. It's actually Guérin on the number 7 kart now. And Guérin, Sébastien Guérin on the number 7 machine, chasing after. But still looking good at the moment for Jean-Marc Gounod. There he is on the number 4 kart. But look at this, Eric Ellery is definitely closing up towards him. Getting a little bit closer now is Eric Ellery. And, well, perhaps we're going to see a battle developing for the lead before we see the 2 main drivers from the teams, which are De Cesaris and Prost, of course. Prost for the number 1 team. He will be taking over from Eric Ellery in a little while. But can Ellery get past Gounod first? De Cesaris will be taking over from Gounod. De Cesaris, former karting world champion, and has been quick all weekend. Now there is Olivier Grillard for Senna's team, which I think now is up into 3rd place. So they're coming back onto the scene again. And Olivier Grillard, who we really haven't seen very much of in the last few minutes in his stint, is one of the quickest. There he is, 3rd place for the Senna team. Then 4th place, the Martini team, then Alio's team, then Herbert's team right down in 6th place. Jean-Marc Gounod under pressure from Eric Ellery now. Look at this, a back marker in the way as well. And that was Philippe Alliot. A back marker, Philippe Alliot. Alliot with very little experience of kart racing, and really learning all the time this weekend, but thoroughly enjoying himself, having a great time. He did some practicing with Prost during the week, but he never started his career on karts, so he's having to learn, whereas these guys are experienced on karts and they're using all that experience to the full. Jean-Marc Gounod still in front of Eric Ellery. Eric Ellery putting him under all sorts of pressure. So it's the De Cesaris team, 2 wheels there for Jean-Marc Gounod. Leading from Ellery. Ellery trying to get down the inside. That very quick swooping left-hander. No real room to get through there. So he has to tuck back into position in 2nd place at the moment. Eric Ellery looking for a way through. Look at Jean-Marc Gounod. Very dramatic style. All weekend he's been one of the most committed drivers, really slithering the kart around all the time. He's had a couple of contacts against the wall, mind you, in the practice sessions in his attempts to be the fastest, and he set some of the fastest times over the weekend, but he's got pressure under from Eric Ellery at the moment. Ellery tucked in behind, looking very, very smooth, and just trying to find a mistake from Jean-Marc Gounod. Gounod taking a tighter line. Can Ellery take advantage of that? Not really, but he closes up just a fraction more. Ayrton Senna ready to go, watching from the pits into that hairpin. This is right opposite the pits, so Senna can watch this little bit as they go through into the next hairpin, and Gounod still protecting the lead from Eric Ellery in 2nd place. Now, perhaps a little bit of dicing going on here will give the opportunity for Olivier Grillard to catch up in 3rd place. He's quite some way back at the moment. Thanks to the problems they had earlier. There's the gap, in fact, between the De Cesaris team and the Senna team. We can't quite see Guillard for the Senna team in the back of your picture, or can we? No, not quite. But Guillard in third place for Senna's team. And if this continues, this battle up front, this dicing continues, that will give Guillard the opportunity to perhaps close up and make up some ground in third place. Through the tunnel they go. And Hillary still applying the pressure to Jean-Marc Gounod. Vallio holding on well, perhaps learning from watching these two guys in front of him a little bit more about the subtleties of kart racing as they go into that hairpin. Now that looks like Guillard, yeah, just a little bit further down. Look at how close Ellery is. He can't really get any closer without climbing over the top of Jean-Marc Gounod's chassis, but he still can't quite find a way through, and that's what he really wants to do. He wants to try and get in front so that he can hand over to team leader Alain Prost with a lead. Again, Gounod defending his line there, and Hillary absolutely glued to Gounod's rear bumper bar as they come out of that hairpin. And Hillary trying to get alongside now. Is Gounod going to go wide here? No, he kept it under control very well, and Hillary trying to find a way through, but good driving from Gounod. He's not doing anything wrong, he's just keeping control at the moment. And Hillary trying everything, all the experience that he's gained over the years of motor racing. Champion in the Peugeot Spiders this year, as he was last year, and he's being tested in his attempts to get past Gounod. And into the pits now comes Eric Ellery to change over to Alain Prost. So Alain Prost comes out to a great cheer from the crowd, who go wild as Prost comes out onto the circuit. Now Prost, can he lead this race? Can he hold on to the lead? The Jean-Marc Gounod and De Cesaris team have not yet swapped over. We see the number 3 kart there going ahead, but don't forget they're quite a long way down after their problems earlier on. The number 7 kart also not in the frame in the top 3 at the moment. So Alain Prost having changed. This is the important changeover, because this is Jean-Marc Gounod changing to Andrea De Cesaris. Now where is Alain Prost? That is the question. There's the number 3 kart. Where is it? There's Senna. There is Prost. It's Prost and Senna together. Senna has just changed over. And so now Ayrton Senna leads Alain Prost on karts. And this is a recreation of the battles that they've had in Grand Prix racing over the 80s and the 90s. And Senna now in front of Prost. Prost goes a bit wide there. He's got to watch out because he's got someone in behind him as well. This is what the fans came to see. A battle. Listen to the crowd as Prost trying to get past. Senna has got his tyres up to temperature now, perhaps. Oh, Prost has gone wide, and he loses out of position there as going through. Guérin goes through there. So losing out of place, and Prost now, well, that won't please the local crowd. And Senna looks behind him, doesn't see Prost anymore, though the helmets are very similar, so he may get a little bit confused as Senna tries to get the tyres up to temperature, get back up the grip levels. That was really because Prost was trying to take a wide line into one of the hairpins to try and get a better exit than Senna, and well, in the meanwhile he lost that position to the number 7 kart of Guérin. And so that's the Panis scheme. Olivier Panis very quick as well, and Prost now with more pressure on him from behind. It looks like Yannick Dalmas is just behind Alain Prost. I don't think Yannick is particularly well up. Or is it De Cesaris? No, I think it's Yannick Dalmas. The question now is, where is De Cesaris with regard to Prost? There is De Cesaris, there is Prost. So De Cesaris still having the overall lead, which is the important thing, with Senna there behind and in second place now, and Prost in third position. So a great changeover for Ayrton Senna's team, and I think that they have come up into second place. A little bit difficult to tell because they lost time earlier on. But it's definitely Andrea De Cesaris who is leading, and Prost, no matter what the overall positions might be, will be determined to try and get back to Ayrton Senna to see if he can try and take that time. Well, we shall see if he can. Olivier Panis is on that 7 kart, in fact, now, so it is Olivier Panis. A little bit of confusion there, but Olivier Panis in behind Ayrton Senna, then Alain Prost, And this is a great battle. Now look at this, they're right up with Andrea De Cesaris now, who's leading the race overall. Andrea De Cesaris on the number 4 kart, race leader, has Ayrton Senna breathing down his neck, then Olivier Panis, the Formula 3000 champion, and then Alain Prost in 4th place, just in behind him. So this is an absolutely tremendous battle. First to third, just over a second. As Ayrton Senna in 2nd place tries to challenge, and Prost goes past Panis. Prost goes past to Panis and moves up one as Senna trying to get past De Cesaris at the same time. Now this is great stuff. De Cesaris won the World Karting Championship in the 70s. It was a championship that Ayrton Senna never quite managed to win, although he tried it many times going back. Oh, and Senna's in trouble. Oh no, Ayrton Senna is in trouble and he retires, he pulls off, and perhaps the 2-stroke motor has cried enough. But whatever the problem, Ayrton Senna in trouble, and what a shame after building up to such a tremendous climax here with Andrea De Cesaris, Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna, and Ayrton Senna out of the race. Well, what a great shame. De Cesaris now still leads it from Alain Prost, and well, another one of the number 2 team will have gone out in place of Ayrton Senna. I'm not sure which one has gone out to replace him, but Senna in trouble. What a shame. Now we have a battle though for the lead for the remaining laps of this final race. It's De Cesaris versus Prost. Prost has caught up to De Cesaris, and now he has the task of trying to find a way through. Just 11 laps to go to the end of the race, and can Prost win in front of his home crowd? The Bercy Stadium will be lifted off the ground if Prost manages to win after this race. It's been such a closely fought contest between the great drivers in the world on these 100cc 2-stroke karts, and Prost is now trying to find a way past De Cesaris. Can he do so in the remaining laps? Just 10 laps to go now, as Prost tries his hardest to find a way past De Cesaris. Don't worry about Panis in the background, because he is some way further down the order. It's the battle between these two, De Cesaris and Alain Prost. First and second, as Prost tries everything he knows to find a way past De Cesaris, but De Cesaris is determined to stay in front. Well, Senna's team still in 3rd place. They must have got the other number 2 kart out very, very quickly and not lost too much time, but they are not in our shot. They're not in picture, so they're some way further down the order. I'm not sure whether it is Guyard or Bouillon. Oh, De Cesaris in trouble, and it's Prost in the lead. Alain Prost is in front. De Cesaris breaks down, and Alain Prost is now leading the race. The crowd go wild as their champion is now leading the race here at Bercy. It's Alain Prost in front. There is Jean-Marc Gounod in front of him again, and they've allowed Jean-Marc Gounod to come out, but I think I'm not sure whether... Oh, Gounod goes wide anyway, and Prost is in front of him, so I'm not sure if Gounod maybe... I think he should be a lap down on the number 4 kart. I can't quite see how he can't be, although maybe they sent him out as soon as they saw on the TV screens. I have a feeling they maybe did. As soon as they saw De Cesaris pull off, I think they sent Gounod out. But, well, Prost is still in front anyway, with Gounod going wide, so Prost is still leading. Alain Prost leading the indoor karting event here in Bercy, and, well, his opposition falling by the wayside with mechanical problems. Will that mean that Prost is going to have mechanical problems? If there are, I tell you, there'll be a riot here, because the crowd want nothing more than to see Alain Prost win this race. All he has to do is finish off these final few laps, make no mistakes, and he will be the indoor karting champion unofficially in this Bercy event. De Cesaris team still in 2nd place, then ahead of Senna. They obviously sent Jean-Marc Gounod out virtually as soon as they saw De Cesaris in trouble, and that gave them the opportunity to hold on to 2nd place. Not sure if that's strictly within the rules, but with 5 laps to go, it's Alain Prost in control of this race after all sorts of incident and action. What a shame that we lost out Ayrton Senna after such a good battle in prospect. We saw Senna and Prost battling wheel to wheel on karts, just as they did in Grand Prix racing. Prost ran a little bit wide, lost the position, and dropped back a bit from Senna, but it was all setting itself up beautifully for a run to the checkered flag, but we lost Ayrton Senna, and then we lost to Cesaris just as Prost was trying to find a way to get past. There's Gouillard. Gouillard driving for the Senna team now. Well, you can see he's some way back. Prost has already gone through the tunnel there, and there is Gouillard. So quite a few seconds behind in second place, but nevertheless a great performance after their problems. There's the gap, 9 seconds between first and third, which is Senna's team in third position, Gounod's team, the Cesaris-Gounod team in second place, and Gouillard upholding the honours for the Senna team. But well, what a great shame that we lost Senna from the race just when things were hotting up so well. Well, Prost now only has a little way to go as Gouillard continues on the number 2 kart. There is Alain Prost with just a couple more laps remaining to the checkered flag. The crowd is building itself up into a fever here. 2 laps remaining. Into the tunnel he goes, through the corridors at the back of the Bercy Stadium. No pressure for him now, and Ayrton Senna with a rueful expression at having to watch his main rival from Formula 1 coming round, it looks like, to win this indoor karting event, but they're all enjoying themselves. It's been a great weekend racing all the way through. There is Senna watching the screens and seeing Alain Prost come round on this final lap. He comes out of that hairpin into the stadium for the final time. The crowd, he must be able to hear the crowd and see the crowd as he comes round the last hairpin into the last left-hand bend, around to take the checker flag, and Alain Prost is the winner. The crowd goes wild, and Alain Prost, the winner of the ELF Indoor Karting. And what a great victory for him. Jean-Marc Gounod coming home in second place for the Cesaris team, and Senna's team in third position with Olivier Gouillard at the wheel after Senna's retirement. And there is Ayrton Senna talking to Philippe Streff, the man who put this whole show together. And Alain Prost comes home victorious, to be congratulated by his teammates Eric Hellery and Frank Lagos. And what a great team effort this was. Well, what an amazing race. All the action that we had there, with Prost team victorious in the end after Johnny Herbert's team was leading so strongly in the early stages, and Emmanuel Collard retiring with mechanical failures for Johnny Herbert's team. So Johnny was not to repeat his victory from last night. Then we saw a tremendous battle between the Alain Prost team and the Ayrton Senna team, with Olivier Gouillard there. Eric Hellery as well was driving superbly for Prost team. But Senna and Prost were wheel to wheel battling away on the kart. Prost went a little bit wide, lost a bit of ground to Ayrton Senna, and it looked as though Senna had the advantage. But Prost was then coming back towards him, and then Senna going out with that mechanical failure and having to retire. So there's the final positions. Prost the victorious team, the Cesaris team in second, Senna's in third, the Luigi Martini's in fourth, Johnny Herbert's team end up in fifth place, and the team of Olivier Panis in sixth place after a lot of problems earlier on. Well, it's been a tremendous first event here at Bercy for the Indoor Karting Championship, and you've seen it all here on EuroSport. This has been Ben Edwards. Do hope you've enjoyed this great racing from Paris. Let's hope that they repeat the event in 1994 and we see the cream of the Formula 1 World Championship drivers competing here again. For now, it's goodbye.